Hey everybody, it's Amber with Silicone Unique Creations. So I'm going to give you a rundown today on the equipment that I think you should probably start with. Some of it is optional and some of it's not. So stay tuned and I'm going to go ahead and show you each individual piece, where I got them, about how much they are. I bought mine years ago, so might be more since everything's gone up. I'm going to show you what you need, why you need it, and if it's negotiable. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so as you can see, I have many things on my table. And it seems like a lot, but it's really not. So the first thing I would start with is your protective equipment, because you will be working with caustic soda or potash, also known as sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, depending on what kind of soap you're making. So you will need to have goggles, because lye can make you go blind if it gets into your eyes. You will also need these. These are just nitrile gloves, and nitrile gloves are for handling chemicals. These are non-negotiable. You can use safety glasses, clear safety glasses if you want. Goggles help to keep the fumes out of your eyes a little bit more, because even the fumes off of lye are caustic. So you can do cheap goggles like this, safety glasses, but you need to have some kind of eye protection. You should probably have long sleeve shirts. So this is about $20 at Harbor Freight. I provided a link to some on Amazon if you don't have a Harbor Freight, and they're like $25 for 100 gloves. These, I believe, were $5 at my local hardware store. So those two, non-negotiable. It's like a $10 shirt that I got on. Yeah, I know I'm rich. But these are your non-negotiables. You gotta have your safety equipment. Also, to consider, it's not required, it is negotiable, is some kind of a mask. So I just use one of my cloth masks because I sublimate masks. So any of them that are not good enough, I go ahead and just keep for myself. And so this is what I'm using, just to kind of keep some of those particles out of my lungs. You can use the actual PPE, like the dust mask or a respirator. You can do those. I can try to find a link for one of those. My husband has one that I use upon occasion, especially if I'm going to be doing my glycerin and KOH or the potassium hydroxide. That puts off a lot of fumes. So that's when I wear a respirator. You're going to also need mixing bowls, and mixing bowls are not negotiable. You need to have some kind of mixing bowls. Plastic is good, glass is okay, stainless steel is okay, no aluminum. Lye will eat aluminum, so you do not want to use any kind of aluminum. Don't use wood, because lye will actually eat away at your wood as well, but it also soak into the fibers of the wood and you will never get it out. So anything you do get, mixing bowl wise, you need to make sure that you will never use it for anything else ever again. These can only be used for soap making, ever. So I just get the cheap ones. And I got these at the dollar store. And I got these at the Walmart. They were like $1 a piece. This was like a set for like $3, I think. This was years ago. Don't know if they're still available. They cracked. Or one of them cracked. I still have these two, but the smaller one did crack pretty easily. But these other two are pretty good. These ones are one of my favorites, just because they're lighter and a little bit flexible, so it doesn't crack quite as easy. Then you're going to need some measuring spoons upon occasion. Most everything is done by weight, but upon occasion, things are done by a volume measurement. So you will want to have some of these on hand just in case. And I actually got this little bundle of these at the Goodwill. So check them out, because it's plastic. It's never going to be used for food. that I was able to clean them, sterilize them, and these are identifiable. My kids know if it's the yellow measuring spoons that these are not for food. Mason jars, they are a good option for holding your fragrance oils because your fragrance oils or essential oils can actually eat plastic. So when you're measuring up your fragrances, you're getting everything measured up. You need to be able to measure up your fragrance oils or your essential oils as well. And I use mason jars because they don't eat away at glass. This is optional. You can use any kind of glass that you would like to use, or a stainless steel cup of some sort. So also optional, planers or bevelers. Those are optional. You can cut it with a kitchen knife or whatever after it's going to have to be a kitchen knife you're never going to use again for food, but you can do it that way. You can also use you can also use one of these that you would find at Michael's, maybe Walmart. We don't have a lot of stores in our area, so Walmart and Michael's are like my go-to for local stuff and the hardware stores. But you can just use I think this might be a pastry cutter or something. So maybe a kitchen store if you have one. You're going to also want to have silicone spatulas. Do not use wood because of the same reason why you would not use a wood bowl. Stainless steel spatulas, but then it's stiff. You want to be able to scrape your bowls. So silicone spatulas are the best. So I use these for when I'm scraping my bowls out. And I use these when I'm mixing my lye or if I'm mixing additives into my soap. Because these are pretty sturdy. I got these at Walmart for like $2 or $3. And they handle heat really well, which is why I like these full silicone ones. So these were like $3. These were like $1 a piece at... I think I got these at the Dollar Tree. Pretty sure. Alright, another negotiable, but you probably don't want to negotiate it, is some kind of immersion blender. So you got the Cuisinart, you have the whatever the Walmart brand is. Fred Meyer's, I think, has their own basics or home essentials or something. I use a KitchenAid. I went through a lot of stick blenders in the beginning. I over-blended and overheated my motors, and not all motors in immersion blenders are created equal. I've had this same KitchenAid for about 4 years, and I have another KitchenAid. It's a red one, and I've had that for about 5 years, and I just alternate between the two. So if you can afford it, get two, but the same to be said is that these will last quite a bit of time, especially if you know how to properly use them. And I'll talk more about like working with the soap, working with the lye and the oils, the relationship between them and why you have to blend hard at certain times and other times you're going to let it rest. So these are very necessary, and you need to make sure that it is a stainless steel shaft. But you can try to use the plastic ones. But I found when you transition, because you're going to start with cold process, I'm sure everybody does. But if you get into hot process at all, it will melt your stick blender. And that is unfortunate. So, yeah, you're going to need a stick blender, or you can whisk it. And you're going to be whisking for maybe an hour to really get it all the way combined and reach a trace. So something else I personally use, and there's going to be some people that do not agree with this, but something I personally use, it's another Goodwill find, and it is an Anchor. It's before they started printing on them their name, but it's an Anchor measuring cup. And so this one is 2 quarts. And this is actually what I use for my lye most of the time. Just because it doesn't sit in there too long. So because it's thick enough, you cannot use thin glass ever to hold your lye solution. But because this is thick enough, I'm able to actually mix my water and my lye in here, which makes it easier for me to pour into my batter and control my stream. So anything bigger than that, and I wouldn't be able to be as precise. Anything smaller than that would not really hold enough of the liquid for me. So that's what I use. Pyrex is usually the preferred brand if you're going to use glass, but Pyrex is extremely expensive, so there's that. And then a new thing that I finally bought, it's ridiculous because they were not that expensive, is I bought these measuring cups. So these are my dollar ones, like from the Dollar Tree, and I usually have like 10 of these. And then I bought these. And these allow me to do infinite amount of things. More of like your drop colors, and if you have to funnel anything into a cup or a bottle or anything like that. These are a godsend. I love these. So there's those. So then we're going to go and we're going to get into another non-negotiable, and that is to have a mold. You do not have to use any of these specific molds, but you must have something to put your soap into. You don't want to leave it in your mixing bowl. So you can use a wooden mold and then use your freezer paper, and this is what I use for 7 years. You can use the silicone molds, and these are what I use for the very first year. Not these specifically, but all kinds of silicone molds. I bought one of these for working with the feather swirls. And so this was a pretty cool little find. I don't use it very often, that's why it's dusty. And then I have new ones that I've actually moved into this year. And these are my preferred ones. I love these. So I got these off of Etsy. And it's PVC, I think. Some kind of plastic. Some kind of super hardcore heavy plastic that doesn't get destroyed by soap. So these are now my new molds, and I'll go more into those when I make my soap. But really, you can buy anything. You can use this kind of plastic, you can use the wood molds, you can use the silicone molds, you can use a shoebox and a garbage bag, you can use, I believe Pringles cans is like a thing as well. You can find molds. So that's not like you gotta go buy something super expensive and maybe you don't like it. You can actually just start really rough and start with a shoebox. So these are your essentials. These are what you need to think about trying to get. You need to have your PPE. You need to have your spatulas. You need some mixing bowls that will be devoted only to this, that you can throw away if you hate soap making. You know? You need to have something to put fragrance oils or essential oils in. You need to have something to mix your lye into. You need to have a scale. And this scale is amazing. There's other people with different scales, but I have to say that this is the best scale. And I use this for everything, all the way to shipping my packages. So, this scale right here, I found probably about 7 years ago. I was using a different scale. I was using one of these. I'm sure you've all seen it. You guys kind of recognize it. Not a good scale. Not as precise as this one. This one takes a beating too. I have put my scale through heck and back. So it's like maybe $25 or $30 something like that. It's worth it though. So you're going to need to have a scale because every chemical and oil should be weighed out no matter what. Do not rely on a cup of this and a teaspoon or a tablespoon of that. You need to weigh out your ingredients. Not negotiable. You need to have a scale. You can start with one of these, but make sure that you have yourself a super fat going on so that you don't have too much lye. But yeah, you should probably get that scale. That's the only scale I recommend for soap making. It did have a door on it, and I broke it. Took a couple years to actually break it off though. It did have a battery cover, just a piece of extra vinyl that I threw over to this. But yeah, it's very used. I bought a new one because I was afraid that I had dropped that one too many times, and it just keeps working, so my new one's just sitting there hanging out until I need it. So yeah, you should probably get that scale and probably that immersion blender. I could not find links to this specific one, but I did find links to the upgraded version of this one. So hopefully that helps you guys. But this one, I've had it for too long, I guess, and they aren't making them anymore. So, and it was cheap. It was like $45 back in the day. And now I think they're like $40 to $50 or $40 to $60. Still not that much when you're talking about saving you hours of mixing and making sure there's no separation. That's what that thing does. Is it creates the bond between your alkali and your fats. Very important in soap making. So, alright, hopefully this helps you all know what kind of equipment and supplies you should be getting, where to go about looking for the equipment and supplies. It's really not that expensive to start with this. Check out your Goodwill. Check out your Walmart or your Target or whatever store you got. Check out your hardware store because then you can get all your PPE there. You're going to check out kitchen stores. A lot of what we use is kitchen based. So you can check out a kitchen store too. Check out the Amazon links that I provided, and they'll help to guide you to knowing what you should be looking for. So yeah, let me know if this helped you. Make sure you like and subscribe. I don't know if I should be saying that or not, but I won't put it out there. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I wish you all the best of luck, and stay tuned for the making of a Heinz 57, aka everything soap. Alright, bye bye.